Morning all, and we're going to do like a news of the day video to start things off. And yeah, I'm a little bit earlier than usual with the videos today. Sleepless nights will do that, so you get all your boards ready and you go, all right, so if I'm not getting any sleeping done, I'm going to go ahead and get my boards done. Now, Brendan Leipsic is making all the news right now, and I'm not going to get into what was said. I'm just going to reiterate what I've said in previous instances where somebody says something, it comes out publicly, and then all the whoops kicks in, right? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said it, I should know better, da 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 da. Yes, always assume what you're saying online is going to come out publicly. Comport yourself in private messages the way you would if you thought the message was going to come out publicly when you're a public figure. And so we'll see what happens. Honestly, I don't know if the Capitals are going to end up cutting ties with him. He's been through a number of teams, and I know over the decades of watching hockey, there's been players who've bounced around the league, and I've thought, why does that guy get bounced around? And then somebody at some point will say, oh, what I heard was, and then you do some research and you go, oh, okay, so that's what it is. And it may very well be unpopularity with teammates, and this may very well be something with Leipsic. He might be a guy who... Because if he's talking like this in a conversation with, whoever online, he probably talks like that in the locker room as well, and he may very well rub some guys the wrong way. So, yeah. We're in an age right now where, if you have any kind of public status, public profile, you've got to watch what you're saying, and you've got to watch what you're doing as well. So... we'll see what happens with that. But I'm not getting into exactly what was said other than just shaking my head at it and going, yeah, man, just what in the world? Yeah. Brian McClellan, while we're talking about Capitals players, we can then pivot and talk about the general manager. He's been one of the general managers to come out, and he said yesterday, I don't like the idea of having a draft before we know that the season's over. So I'd rather have the draft after the season's over. He's not the only GM that feels this way. But again, it seems like the NHL is telling them, this is what our plan is. You guys can either get in line or get in line. So the NHL decides when the draft is, and they want to have it about a month from now. And they're also planning on playing hockey after that takes place. And I get it. There's a lot of sports right now that are looking at how much money they're losing, how much money they could still be losing. And they're trying to find a way back, and we'll come back to that at the end of this video. Speaking of comebacks, Vancouver could very well be a host city, and this is something I thought the whole way through this. Premier John Horgan, who isn't necessarily the most popular guy in BC, let's be honest, has reached out to the NHL about a restart. But what politician is really popular? Which one? Right? So he's apparently reached out to the NHL and the NHLPA about Vancouver potentially being a hub city, and there's progress going on with Edmonton and the province as well. There's some debate about whether or not teams might be pressuring public figures. I don't think so. I think that honestly, even though you're not going to have fans in attendance, I think if you have your city picked as a hub city, I think there's some, I'm not going to say prestige, but there's something tied to that, and it does feel like it's kind of important. So if Vancouver and Edmonton were two hub cities out of 4, right? And so that's 2 locations down, and you only need 2 more. And Toronto's in line. They could all end up being in Canada. Let's be honest. Everything could end up being in Canada, which would be the only way you might see a Canadian Cup awarded. Every now and then a team wins on the road in Canada to win a Stanley Cup, but we'll have that. This all just set up so we can have the Stanley Cup awarded in Canada. So, yeah, Vancouver's officially in this, and there's a lot of cities that are in it. There are a lot of American cities in it as well. We'll see what they decide. They're going to have to decide in about a week or 2 here exactly what the plan is. Good news for Anaheim fans, and for me as a fan of Christian Juice. Apparently they liked what they saw enough to give him a 1-year extension. It's rumored to be $1 million. It hasn't been confirmed yet that it's exactly $1 million, or whether or not there's a bonus involved or what else is going on as of yet. But yeah, so 1-year extension, about $1 million. And Yanni Hakanpää has signed a 1-year extension with Anaheim as well. So they're getting those backups, those guys who are 6 and 7 players. set up. They're both defensemen, and Juice could very well be top six for them for the rest of this season, should we play the rest of this regular season, and in the postseason as well. Now, I've heard a lot of people complaining about tickets and refunds and wanting their money back. And honestly, we in the sports world are in just at no man's land. No way that they saw this coming. And so this is all around the sports world. Now, the Toronto Maple Leafs have announced that they will issue refunds as requested by season ticket holders. So if you're a season ticket holder and you're upset that you haven't got your refund yet, you can apply for your refund. I don't know what the time frame is of getting it, but you can apply for it. Now, what teams are trying to talk fans into is not getting a refund, using that money towards next year's tickets. And of course, how soon is it that we'll see fans in attendance for next season? That's a whole other debate. So, teams want to roll that revenue into next season. I did see rumors as well that San Jose might raise ticket prices, but I saw an interview with somebody from the San Jose organization saying there will be no increase in ticket revenue or ticket prices, and I can't see it. I can't see the PR nightmare that would be of raising ticket prices coming out of all this when they know that there are so many people who've been unemployed or had their hours cut and just, money's not where it was. I can't see any teams raising the price of tickets. And not only that, but if a team's announced, and I think Vegas was announcing a ticket price hike for next year, maybe teams that were announcing price hikes for next year roll those back too and say, no, we just can't do it. Which again will impact where the salary cap ends up. It'll impact where we end up with escrow for the players as well. So if you're a sports fan and you're looking for sports and you're flicking through the channels and you're like, I've seen a lot of Sesame Street, I've been watching a lot of Adult Swim cartoons and trying to find something to watch. Where's my sports? I've been trying to get the squirrels to fight in the yard and they're not fighting. I'm just using that as an example. I'm not actually... Okay, you got me. UFC will be putting on UFC 249 this Saturday. I don't watch UFC, but they were the last. They were the last to get shut down, so it makes sense that Dana White would find a way to bring it back, and so they'll be having their fights on Saturday, and then next weekend we get NASCAR back. So May 17th, it looks like we'll get NASCAR back. And PGA will have a skins game on May 17th with proceeds going to charity from that. So it's a fundraiser kind of thing for PGA before we get into a regular PGA events. It looks like next month they'll be having regular PGA events. Again, without fans in attendance. This is just going to be standard across the sports world. NBA practice could be opening as soon as this Friday, depending on locations. The Raptors have been talking to City Council about how they're going to make this work. And again... as long as local officials, medical officials, and the teams all can agree on something, I don't have a problem with it. And, as long as everybody's in agreement, okay. And that's just, okay, that's good. Late May is still the target for NHL, of course, and this is to have practice facilities open. What I think is going to be interesting is, do you want them to all 31 teams to be at their own practice facilities, or do you just want guys out skating? So, for instance, maybe you got a few guys here in Abbotsford. Maybe, they can go to a rink here and rent out some ice for $500 or something, and the NHL picks up the tab. Like, I'm wondering, is this going to be official right out of the gate? I don't think it has to be, or are we just going to try to make sure everybody's on skates and getting back into game shape? With the idea of July being when the hockey actually starts getting played again. That's the target. I'm not saying it happens. I'm saying that's the target. This is the Hail Mary. This is the attempt to make it happen for NBA, for hockey, and Major League Baseball is supposed to submit their proposal to the union either late this week, so either today or tomorrow, or early next week, with the idea that they have to get something formulated soon as well. There could be a June spring training, and then some kind of opening in July. I've also heard when it comes to the NHL, they understand that players don't want to be away from their families for 4 months. So the fact and that came from Bill Daly saying we understand that there's some resistance to the idea of being away from their families for that long. I don't think that's what happens. I don't think that's what happens here. I think we'll see regular testing. One thing that all of the leagues basically seem to be agreeing on is if we're going to get testing where we are, then we want to make sure the local population has testing as well, and that it's widespread. So honestly, this is another way sports can help, where they can facilitate other tests being available for people in the local population, which again gives you a better picture of what's going on in that local population. And yeah, so we'll see how all of this turns out. And Bundesliga could return on May 15th. Angela Merkel has basically left the window open for that to return May 15th. And again, that'll be without fans in attendance. So if you're looking for sports, you will likely have sports to watch within the next week and a half. Whether you want to watch UFC this Saturday, NASCAR, PGA, or some soccer, Bundesliga. And yeah, and then we'll probably see F1 early July, it looks like. So when all that sports stuff starts happening, watch for some of that on the Entertainment Guy. Until hockey's back up and running, right? I will definitely watch NASCAR and enjoy it. I'll cheer on Martin Truex Jr. That's my favorite racer of the current bunch. Dale Earnhardt was my favorite. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was my favorite, and now it's Martin Truex. So that's who I'm going to cheer for, and we'll see how that goes. And yeah. So thank you guys so much for all your support. As always, it's another beautiful day here. It's supposed to be like 22 degrees Celsius today, so that's going to be nice. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for all your support, for watching my videos, and for tuning in every day. I enjoy doing this, and I'm glad you guys enjoy watching. I will talk to you again soon.